You're 6 years old, standing on black volcanic rock with seawater up to your waist, when your mother presses her hand flat against your chest and shoves you under cold ocean water. She counts to 10, 20, 30, and when your lungs start screaming, she shoves you under for 5 more seconds. You swallow salt, your vision blurs, your arms thrash against nothing. She hauls you up by the hair, watches you choke and spit, and nods once. Tomorrow, you'll do 40. Welcome to your life as a Haneyeo Diver. You're born in 1920 on Jeju Island, a slab of volcanic rock 50 miles off the southern coast of Korea. Your father fishes where there's fish to catch and drinks when there isn't. Your mother dives. Every woman you know dives. Even your grandmother dived until her knees gave out at 70. On this island, the men owe taxes to the Japanese colonial government. The women don't. So the women work, the men watch, and nobody even talks about how strange that is, because it's been this way for 300 years. You're 6 when your mother starts taking you to the shore every morning. At 7, you can hold your breath for 45 seconds. At 8, a full minute. Your nose bleeds sometimes. Your ears ring for hours. She doesn't care. The ocean doesn't care. No one even waits for little girls to feel ready. A girl named Mi Young trains alongside you. She's 7 and doesn't want to dive. One morning, she breathes too fast before a plunge, goes under, and doesn't come back up. No thrashing, no screams. She just stops. By the time the older women drag her out, her lips are gray and her chest isn't moving. They pump the water out of her for 10 minutes on the rocks. It doesn't work. By next morning, her mat's already gone from the sleeping room. Your mother makes you dive again that afternoon. By 9, you know the names of every creature worth ripping from the ocean floor. Abalone, sea urchin, conch, octopus, seaweed so dark it looks like hair torn from a drowned woman. Your mother teaches you in the shallows first, forcing your face under and holding it there while the salt scorches your eyes open. You learn to see underwater before you learn to swim. At 10, your friend Sunja dives beside you for the first time. She's skinny, loud, and terrible at holding her breath. She surfaces every 20 seconds, hacking and spitting, and the older women shake their heads. You like her immediately. By 11, the training turns even more savage. Your mother strips you down to a mulot, a cotton swimsuit so thin it's transparent when wet. The water's 13 degrees. You will not complain about this. If you complain, you go home. And if you go home, you don't eat. The cold isn't something you get used to. Your body just learns to lie about it. Your skin goes dead white. Your lips crack blue. Your heart physically slows, beating less to conserve what little warmth you have left. Decades later, scientists will fly in from Seoul to study this and give it a name. Diving bradycardia. Right now, you just call it surviving. You're 12 when the Haenyeo snap. A Japanese-run cooperative's been buying your mother's catch at 40% below market price for years. Your abalone goes to merchants in Osaka, while your family scrapes by on sweet potato and barley. In January 1932, over 238 separate protests erupt. Thousands of women flood the streets carrying bichang, the hand scrapers they use to pry shellfish from rocks. They're not carrying them for shellfish today. 17,000 people join. It's the largest women-led protest in Korean colonial history. 3 women lead it: Bu Chun-hwa, Kim Ok-ryun, and Bu Dok-ryang. The Japanese arrest all 3. Bu Dok-ryang dies from the torture. She's 28. You're too young to march, but you watch your mother walk out the door with a blade in her fist, and you never forget her face. At 15, you make your first proper dive into the big, real, cold, hungry ocean. 10 meters down, where the light turns sick green, and the pressure crushes against your skull like a closing fist. You're Hagen now, lowest rank. You scrape whatever the older women leave behind at 5 to 7 meters. The Jungun above you work 8 to 10 meters and don't bother learning your name until you survive your first winter season. You watch the Sangun surface from 15 meters with abalone the size of your palm, blood threading from their noses, and you think, that'll be me one day. The woman you really watch is Grandmother Oksun, Sangun, leader of your village's diving collective. She's 63 years old, missing 2 fingers on her left hand from a moray eel that bit through bone, and can hold her breath for over 2 minutes in water cold enough to stop a man's heart. Not that any man would find out. They don't dive. Well, the granny looks at you on your first day and says nothing. That's the best you can hope for. The routine's punishing. You dive for 5, 6, 7 hours a day. 1 minute under, surface. Breathe, dive again. Every time you come up, you make a sound. A sharp, high whistle forced through clenched teeth. The sumbiso. It's not decoration. It's how you blast carbon dioxide out of your lungs fast enough to gulp fresh oxygen before the next plunge. If a diver surfaces and you don't hear the sumbisori, she's drowning. You swim to her, fast. At 17, Sunja gets stung by a jellyfish across her throat and chest while working a reef in autumn. She surfaces shrieking, clawing at welts already swelling shut across her windpipe. It takes 3 women to drag her on the tewak, the orange flotation gourd, and paddle her to shore. She lives. The welts scar thick and white, like rope burns melted into the skin. She can't turn her neck properly for 2 years. She keeps diving anyway. Of course she does. What else would she do? Before every dive, you pray to Jamsugut, the goddess of the sea. A shaman performs a ritual once a year, a full ceremony where the community pools money and asks the Dragon King for safety and a good catch. You've watched women collapse during this ritual. Not for show, because they buried friends in the ocean, and the ocean didn't even flinch. After each session, you and the others stagger into the bultok, a stone circle built against the wind with a fire pit in the center. You peel off your soaking mulot, skin raw and shaking, huddle around the flames, and eat whatever you caught raw, right there. Salt still crusted in the cuts of your hands. The bultok's where everything happens. Gossip, fights, decisions about who fishes where and when. Every woman gets a vote. Every voice carries the same weight. On the mainland, Korean women don't speak in public meetings. On Jeju, you run them. You're 28 when the smell of smoke wakes you before dawn. It's something chemical and wrong. Nothing like anything you've cooked or burned. You step outside and the sky over the next village is orange. It's 1948 and the island's burning. Not the Japanese this time. Korea's been liberated, split in half, and the new South Korean government has declared Jeju a red island. Soldiers and police pour in. They torch villages. They round up anyone suspected of being a communist, which on Jeju means anyone breathing. You lose your father. You always expected the sea would take him. Instead, it's soldiers who drag him from the house at dawn and march him toward Mount Hala. You hear his voice in the yard, then boots on gravel, then nothing. He doesn't come back. Nobody comes back from Mount Hala. Your mother goes into the water the next morning, same as always. When you ask her how, she says the ocean doesn't care who's in charge on land. You understand now why the Haenyeo have survived everything. Wars, occupations, massacres. The sea doesn't negotiate. It doesn't pick sides. It just gives you something to do with your hands while the world burns above the surface. By 50, you're sangun. You've earned it the way every woman before you earned it, by not dying. Grandmother Oksun never made it to see you wear the title. She died at 81, quietly, in her sleep. The sea tried to kill her for 60 years and never managed to do it. Her knees did what the ocean couldn't. Now the younger women, what few there are, look at you the way you once looked at her. You teach them the sumbisori. You show them how to read the current by the way foam gathers on the surface. You warn them about the rocks near Ichulbong, where the undertow has swallowed 3 divers in your lifetime. But fewer students come every year. Your daughter went to Seoul for university. She works in an office now. She sends money home and calls on Sundays. And when you ask if she'll come back to dive, she goes quiet in a way that tells you everything. Sunja's knees finally give out at 55. She sits in the bultok and watches the rest of you suit up, and the look on her face is the same one Grandmother Oksun had before she died. The ocean's done with her. She isn't done with it. In 2016, UNESCO names the Haenyeo an intangible cultural heritage. There are cameras, journalists, a museum dedicated to your work. The word heritage makes it sound like something already dead, like something that belongs in a glass case. But you're still here, still bleeding, still whistling. You're 70 years old, standing on black volcanic rock, and the water is the same temperature it was when your mother first shoved you under. You breathe in, you breathe out, you go down.